Hey, welcome to Navigating Shift. Annabelle here, just with an Australian update as we had before, because things are moving along quite nicely. What happened to the trucks? Well, they still seem to be out and about. We've had a little bit of footage coming in. As mentioned last time, it looks as though the comms are down for the trucks along the border, and so I haven't heard of any of them coming back again yet. We'll just have to wait and see how long this is going to take. We did see quite a lot of different photographs of shelves being emptied in supermarkets shortly after that video that I put out last time, and even my own supermarket looked like this as well. But then they restocked again after a day or two, so either the supermarkets found an alternative source of goods or they delved into their supplies, because apparently even the fresh food people apparently freeze a lot of their vegetables up to 2 years. Not so very fresh. After the news started coming out about people doing silent standing around the front of their councils and government buildings, we noticed this little thing come out from 7 News Brisbane saying that the Queensland Parliament has been locked down. They're getting scared. They are getting scared. We can get louder and we can draw in more and more people. I don't know what it's going to take to draw more people in, but I think people really are waking up one bit at a time. They are. There's a High Court case which came up very suddenly. I think that's because it probably was several months in the making. So they suddenly had a date to give us, and it appeared at the High Court, or the Supreme Court of New South Wales. This is a group of lawyers, the AFL lawyers, and it's gone under the individual's name. Al-Munir Qassam is one of the lawyers, versus Bradley Hazzard, our New South Wales Health Minister. The fact that it's up at supreme level is fantastic. This is taking Hazzard to court over working beyond the law. He is putting in place mandates which are not law and getting the police to enforce them, which is beyond his powers. He's not meant to be doing that. So the court case has got started. All they've done so far is introduce the lawyers. That happened a few days ago, and the continuation of that court case will be happening tomorrow, Thursday the 8th of September, starting at 9:30 a.m. If you go onto the Supreme Court website, last time they had the link just sitting right there on the homepage so that you could click in and have a look. It was on YouTube and it was live streamed. YouTube is going to be the best in terms of handling massive amounts of people viewing at the same time. However, considering their history of censorship, I hope that will not affect the broadcast of it. I had suggested to them, I actually sent an email to the Supreme Court suggesting that they have a backup plan for the live stream, because there'll be many people that'll be interested in this. I think they had about 130,000 views on that first little original piece of introducing the lawyers. So word is getting out very quickly. And obviously the more people that watch it, the more likely they will, hopefully, keep it high integrity. I like the magistrate. He has a good vibe about him. He's very respectful. Let's hope that he is high integrity and will keep this moving in the right direction and do what is right and what is good and what is just and what serves the majority and not just the few. So you'll find the link to that on the website. I noticed today, it was originally booked for today, Wednesday, but there is another court case on at the moment, which is kind of interesting. It's with the Obeeds. Edward Obeid and Moses Obeid. So the Supreme Court's got plenty of entertainment on at the moment. You might enjoy watching that one as well. I was just putting it back out to my friends by email saying, hey, this is better than Netflix. You know, some of these court cases are going to be very interesting. A lot of them are slow and particular, and of course they have to go through all little pieces of evidence and allow everyone to have their say. But I think you'll find in the future that that website is going to give you a lot of very useful links to watch. And here's their YouTube channel as well, because if the first video gets lost and they have to start again, there might be a new link and you can check it on there. There are other court cases happening as well. There's a big one, a class action case, where the religious leaders have got together because we've heard on the news that they are trying to set up vaccination passports and a lot more limiting rules on regular religions. I don't know if it applies to Hillsong or not. That would be interesting, because that's where the Prime Minister goes. One of the leaders from Hillsong has actually been caught in a child abuse case. So, yeah, things might be different there. But it's quite good to see that the religious leaders are uniting together. There's more to that than just a court case, right? It's great to see them talking together and working together. And it's about religious freedoms, being able to allow people to come and commune together. This ABC article as well is interesting. Hundreds of Victorian ambulance workers reject the jab. I think you'll find that a lot of ambulance workers, as well as hospital workers, will be doing this, as they have from the very beginning. Even though the media are telling you something quite different, you'll find medical workers are very, very wise, and they know that these products have not had enough years of testing. They are looking at the results of what is happening to people, and there's no way they're going to go ahead and get this product put into their body. There's also a fantastic link here. Now, I'm just going to show it on the screen. I don't know how long it's going to last, so I recommend that you jump in there, download it quickly, and then you can email it to whoever you want. Email it to your Member of Parliament, email it to your local mayor, email it to employers who are planning on setting up mandates themselves, which is, of course is in breach of the Discrimination Act. You can give it to lots of different people. This is taken from the TGA database of adverse reactions that were reported. Now, Harvard University has already said that a lot of these collections of adverse reactions put into a database, right, this is a very long description of it, only show about 1% of the actual reactions. Only 1% are reported, according to Harvard University. So whether you want to take these figures and multiply them by 100, I hope that's not the case, but that is what they are saying is the effect. If you have a look in this report, down the right-hand side, you can see, first of all, you've got all the symptoms, all the different types of symptoms, and then you can see the deaths that are related to those symptoms, people that got sick and they reported it, and people that died. Now, you can add them all up and you'll find there's over 900. However, I think the idea is that some of these people would have had more than one symptom. So that's how TGA is saying they've come up with 486, I think, or something like that, deaths that have been reported. Of course, if you have a look at their weekly report, it says something like 7 are the ones that they actually agree with. However, it's very, very different from what's in the database. This report was using data between February, at the beginning of the rollout, through to the 15th of August. That is all the information we managed to get. We've tried over and over now to get into the TGA database since then, and it seems to be blocked. It's stunted, it hangs, it's deliberate. You know, website designers themselves have said, hey, if you haven't got it sorted out by now, this is weeks later, then you've deliberately blocked this information, so we can't get any new information. And I expect, considering the rollout is extending and getting more and more people joining in on it, that those figures will be rising, unfortunately. So get that information out to people who think that the media are correct and it's not a big deal and that they're safe, because they're not. They're not. That's really important to let people know. In terms of the news, they are still doing their very best to lower your energy, you might have noticed. So some of them are already starting to talk about the passports and what it means to the unvaccinated. This is about fear. This is about lowering your energy. That is the principle that you need to keep in mind all the way along. Okay? So presently, those laws are not in action, right? They do not exist. Even if they are put into play, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to follow them, okay? And they won't stay for very long because they are unconstitutional. That's what this whole court case is about. Now, I don't know how long court cases take in the Supreme Court. They may take some weeks, or they might be all resolved in the one day. It just depends on how much evidence they need to get through, I guess. But it is inevitable that unless the magistrate is corrupt, that the whole mandate idea will be overturned. Mandates are not law. Always remember that. I'm just going back through my real estate law studies because I am going to move. I'm going to move careers because I haven't been able to get back into coaching for the arts. So that's just kind of reminded me that law Law has a hierarchy of what prevails one over the next. So you've got, say you've got local, like say you've got a business who wants to set up their own rules, like my own one that says I'm not welcome back in the building because I can't wear a mask, even though I have a medical exemption. So that's a rule. Then you might have a law. So the first law would be state law. Above state law is federal law. Above federal law is constitutional law. Above constitutional law is international criminal law. So each one has a hierarchy. Each one has a priority. And if one in the lower parts of the hierarchy are inconsistent with a law above, then it is invalid. So if you have a business that is saying, well, this is the rule that we want to set because it's in line with a state mandate, well, okay, that's fine. But if you have a law, like a federal law or constitutional law or an international criminal law that is inconsistent with those rules or that mandate, then it's invalid. Okay, we have to remember that. And the more people you can tell that to, the more they'll understand that what we're saying is that Brad Hazzard is working completely unlawfully at the moment. And I think a lot of people would relax if you did that as well. I'm finding that the more people I talk to, they start to relax when they realise that these things are unlawful, and therefore it is absolutely inevitable that these things will be cancelled back out again and we'll go back to where we were. So do not necessarily give in and go, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job if I don't get the injection by the end of November or whenever your employer has said so. Just hold out right to the very, 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 very end. And even beyond that date, keep on working. And if they remove you, then, as I had said before, you are much better to still say no and have people walk off the job and them suddenly left with no people, and then they'll have to readdress those mandates if they're not forced by law. And by November, I'm very sure that it will be all sorted out by then. The other thing I've noticed with friends that I'm dealing with on social media is regrets. Now, if you find that you did go ahead and get these injections and then you regret it afterwards, you realise that the doctors are saying that it could be far worse for you than if you'd actually caught the original illness. What I want to say to you is just hang in there, okay? Hang in there. Because whatever was put into these products, there must be an antidote. The baddies don't ever create a problem without creating a solution. They would never put out there a bioweapon that didn't have an antidote. Here, there's a good example of the Pirbright Institute, which is funded by the Gates Foundation, which is no surprise at all, that here is a patent for a virus as well as a vaccine, all in the one patent. How very tidy. Do you see what I mean? There will be antidotes for whatever they have put out. Now, if you are well, then stay well, all right? Boost your immunity. That my guess here, and of course I'm not a doctor, not a lawyer, as I'm going to say, but from my perspective, I would say that the things the doctors are saying will be so harmful in these products is that they bind to the cell. They have a spike protein in them that binds to the cell. Now, I remember right back at the very beginning of when this illness came out, there were German virologists that were talking about the symptoms they could see in whatever was making people sick. And they said it was exactly the same thing. Some sort of extra proteins added to a pathogen. Now that is still confusing to me as to how that can be different from a virus being isolated in a lab, but I'm assuming they are just simply talking about the results of what they could see of all these people getting sick. And we've yet to figure out what it was that was causing that and how they got it. It may possibly be to do with, say, the flu shot from the previous year, or it may be to do with nanotechnology that's put into the big food manufacturers, which we know are all owned by the same companies that own Big Pharma, that own the media, that pay the government's officials under the table. There's this whole web of intrigue that's put together by the same few elite that are trying to control every aspect of our lives. It's possibly that, there could be nanotechnology that was in those products that is now reacting to the digital products that you use, like phones and computer and tablets and things like that. That maybe there are frequencies that are coming out from those digital devices that are reacting to the nanotechnology. Do you see what I mean? Could be anything. Could be anything that's causing it. I'm getting off course though. Let's go back to this idea of a spike protein or an extra protein that's been added. So it sounds, from my layman's perspective, that they are similar. They're similar, that you've got these extra proteins in the illness, you've got a spike protein in the product that's been rolled out. Therefore, if they are similar, is it possible that you can treat them the same way? Now, we've gone through a number of different products through these episodes that are helpful with the illness. Perhaps they can help you with the rollout as well, the rolled out product, in which case you can go ahead and use them just the same, and maybe it will prevent them from binding to your cells, and it will keep your immunity high, and you'll be fine. The other thing I forgot to mention in the last episode, when I started talking about HIV and AIDS, and I said that a lot of the people had died from the drugs they were given in hospital to supposedly save them. It was what basically knocked them off. They've figured that out now. But there are also a lot of other people that were infected that are still alive today, 20, 30 years later, and they're still alive. So this is not necessarily a death sentence, okay? It's about supporting your body to heal itself. Your body is made by God's design, okay? That's better than anything that man could possibly create to harm it. You can mend this body, so don't have regrets. There is much that you can do to help your body and keep it boosted and resilient. And when we get to the point where the truth comes out, which is inevitable, then you'll be offered whatever is required to heal that body at that point, get rid of it completely, or maybe you'll be able to do that yourself anyway. There was another thing that was interesting, which came out from Judy Mikovits. She's the one that originally did the pandemic video, and she had said that suramin is the antidote. That's in her point of view. Suramin comes from pine needle tea. So you can find this on eBay and Amazon and health food stores. You can get it as a tea, or you can get it as pine needles. That's what I bought, some pine needles. It's a very gentle taste. It really isn't particularly strong compared to some of the other products that I've played with along the way to detox my body. Much easier. So to have a cup of that each day is not a big deal at all. You can also get a more concentrated serum, and I think you just put it, I bought some for Sarah when she was not feeling very well, and she said you just put it on the tongue or under the tongue. So these sorts of things can be helpful, and you can give that. You can give a little bottle like that to people that might be struggling or have had their health affected during the receiving of this product. Then you can certainly help them with that. But boost the immune system. That's the most basic thing everybody is talking about except the media. Have you noticed that? The media have not said anything about that. Not once. Not once. Boost your own immune system. Get lots of sunshine. All right, get exercise. Sleep well as much as you can. Healthy food. Get away from all the products from those really big companies. Go organic if you can afford it. If you can get away from sort of tinned products and things, because a lot of their nutrients gets killed in the process of canning, which is what my sister had told me. She manufactures food products, and she said canning will just knock off all the nutrients in the product. So yeah, you want to try and eat fresh as much as you can. Raw is great too. Raw vegetables and fruit every day makes a very big difference compared to cooked. In those Essene texts that came through the Dead Sea Scrolls and a number of other places that I recorded for Insight Timer, there were health lessons from Jesus, and he was also talking about the value of raw food, just like a few ingredients at once, maximum 3 things on your plate in one meal. That's interesting, isn't it? And so you can also tune into your intuition. What do I need today? Okay, I need tomatoes, or I need, cucumbers, or you let your body decide what it needs in that one moment. And you can also retrain your brain to think differently about how much food you need. If you sit there and you totally focus on that food with no music, no talking in the background, no podcasts going or anything like that. Just totally focus on how gorgeous that food is, this mindful eating, right? Taste it, feel the texture, smell the food, really look at it, enjoy every mouthful. And if you eat slowly in that way, then you'll find you eat a lot less food because your brain kicks in and goes, oh, I'm full, a lot earlier than you would have if you just gobbled it on down with your mind going on reading the news or listening to something else. And in those health lessons with Jesus, he also talked about just drinking water, lots of water, and raw milk if you can find it. I know that they banned that in Australia a long time ago, but I'm starting to see products along those lines, raw milk and raw cheese, coming up in the farmers markets, which is lovely to see. So see if you can find those, because they probably have a hell of a lot more nutrients than what we can get from the supermarket. So I think that will probably do for this episode. I'll be back on with Sarah next time. We would normally record tomorrow, but I'm going to be watching the Supreme Court case. That looks like far more entertaining thing to do. I'll be working with Sarah soon after that, and we'll do an episode broadcast for you soon. Okay, so I'll see you in a few days. Bye for now.